There you are, Priya. Hello, everybody. There's Diane and Martha. We're getting everybody coming on. Let me see how many have joined us so far.
There we go.
Yeah. Let me.
Hello.
Hello.
Uh-oh.
Hi, Sue.
I lost my, oh, there it is. Okay.
Hi, Diane.
Hi, nice to see
Linda
you.
Browning.
Heidi. Hi, Heidi.
Hi, Heidi. I can't see you over there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm Sue Wallace. I'm the president. So, but Linda Browning is going to introduce you when it comes time.
Yes.
So,
I know Heidi.
yeah.
Hey.
Hi, Heidi.
There's
Hi,
Hi, Martha.
Heidi.
okay. And what I want to do is I want to go to the speaker view so I can see who's okay. There we go. Okay. All right, let me see how many people are on. We've got about 25 in so far. My mouse keeps going in and out.
Just a question, because I'm on my iPad, my computer's not working. Are you able to see me?
Yes.
Yes, okay,
Yes, we
good,
can see
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and you can hear me, because I just wasn't sure, because all I'm seeing is Sue, is all I'm seeing. So I just want to make sure that
Yeah.
when it comes my turn, I'll be there.
Okay, it looks like we've got, okay. For all of those who are panelists, there's 9 of you in here that are panelists. I'm going to ask you to put yourself on mute until it's your turn to speak, okay? Everybody else that's joining us is already on mute, but the panelists have their mics open and you have to mute yourself. And so if you mute yourself that way, we don't have all this conversation going on or noise coming in the background. And then when it's your turn, I'll let you know and you can unmute yourself
Okay.
and speak to us. Yes.
Again, I'm not seeing a mute on my iPad. It's all I'm getting is just your picture. There's a little button that says record. Does anybody else oh, there it comes. I apologize. Okay. There it comes.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. All right, let me see how many attendees. Oh yeah, we have about 20 people in attendance besides our panelists, so that's great. Now we're up to 30 people. So we had about 29 people that registered or 30 people that registered, so I think we're doing okay. All right, shall we go ahead and get started then? Because I think isn't it time? Well, not quite. Let's give it another minute. Make sure we get everybody on that wants to come on. Yeah, Amber, I'm glad you're on. Let me see what the chat is here. Oh, good. Yeah, Amber's on. Okay. 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 Okay, do you see me as the speaker? Yes, okay, good. Because I see Martha. Okay. Okay, Priya, I just got a message from Eileen Sanborn. She said to send her a link, but I'm not sure I can do that right now.
I got it covered.
Okay, thanks. Okay. Okay, Marie, I see you're on. All right. Let me double check. Yeah, we've got about 34 people on right now. Priya, send one also to Nernie Miller.
Will do.
Okay, thanks. All righty. Let me get going here. All right, let's start the meeting. Welcome everybody to the January meeting of the Redlands AAUW. Glad everybody could join us again. We've got lots to cover for this evening, so I think we need to go ahead and get started here. First of all, Chris Goodfellow is going to give us the thought for the month. So Chris, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Sue. It's nice to see everybody and Happy New Year. Tonight, our thought of the month is about women serving in cabinet. When Justin Trudeau was elected Prime Minister of Canada, he pledged he would make half of his cabinet women. When asked why, he answered, because it's 2015. President-elect Joe Biden hasn't gone quite that far, but he has nominated the most diverse cabinet in history and has, of course, chosen Kamala Harris as his vice president. In our history, only 54 women have served in these senior leadership positions as advisors to the president. In contrast, Finland, Norway, Sweden had gender parity cabinets in the 90s. And since then, Chile, Spain, Switzerland, and South Africa have crossed this mark. In the US, women have mainly filled lower level cabinet positions in more gender stereotyped positions such as the Department of Labor, Department of Health and Human Services. In contrast, the budget, the law, and national security positions have been perceived as more masculine pursuits and have almost always been filled by men. These are also more senior cabinet positions. But history shows us that while there is a glass ceiling, there also appears to be a wood floor. President Carter started his administration with 2 female cabinet members, and so did President Reagan. George H.W. Bush upped that number to 3. Bill Clinton started with 5, and Barack Obama had 8 women. Then Donald Trump, never one not to buck convention, started his administration with 4 women and is ending with 3. The Biden administration looks to be a promising rebound for women in the cabinet with 10 female nominees so far. In addition to the first vice presidential nominee, Biden has also nominated the first female Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen, the first woman of color to head the Office of Budget and Management, Neera Tanden, the first Native American woman to head the Department of Interior, Deb Haaland. And while he did not nominate a woman to be Secretary of Defense, he has pledged to fill half of his national security appointments with women, creating a pathway for a future female SecDef. The first woman to serve in the cabinet was Labor Secretary Frances Perkins. Perkins was the longest serving Labor Secretary, having been appointed by FDR and serving his entire 12-year tenure. She was a key architect of the New Deal. She was instrumental in the passage of the National Labor Relations Act in 1933. She brought us the minimum wage, overtime, and the 40-hour work week. As chair of the Committee on Economic Security, she recommended the creation of unemployment and old age insurance, which we now know today as Social Security. Interestingly, she tried and failed to gain passage of health insurance, a battle that is still being waged 80 years later. After Perkins, it would be another 20 years before a woman made it into the cabinet. Oveta Habi was appointed by President Eisenhower to lead the newly created Department of Health, Education, and Welfare in 1953. Habi approved and distributed the polio vaccine. In 1979, Patricia Harris became the first African-American woman to serve as a cabinet secretary, leading the Department of Health and Human Services. And in 2013, Hilda Solis became the first Latina cabinet secretary, leading the Department of Labor. President Clinton was the first to appoint women into senior positions in his cabinet. Janet Reno was the first female attorney general in 1993, and Madeleine Albright became the first woman Secretary of State in 1997. President Obama's nomination of Loretta Lynch as Attorney General made her the first African-American woman in the senior cabinet position. But the only elected position is that cabinet position is that of vice president. By choosing Kamala Harris as his running mate, Joe Biden has helped to shift not only the idea that women were limited by their qualifications, but also their electability in American presidential politics. Harris's election represents a new chapter for women in leadership, especially women of color. And if history is any guide, we'll see more women vice presidents and hopefully a future women president in the future. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. That was great. We really timely for what's happening for right now. Yes. So we really appreciate what you've done here. All right, let's move on to our program for this evening. Linda Browning is going to introduce our guest speaker for us. Linda, you're up. You can unmute yourself.
I'm here. I don't see myself, but apparently I'm on. I see Sue Wallace's name. I'd like to start by saying how much I admire our speaker tonight. And I have known her since probably about the beginning of her, the start of Youth Hope. And I'm incredibly impressed and amazed at how much time and effort and love and care and the great, great passion she has for helping these vulnerable youth in our community. And it's just, I just really want to say that first. And it's been really wonderful being a part of the Youth Hope program. Now, to introduce our speaker, and Happy New Year to everyone. Our speaker tonight is Heidi Meyer, and she is the founder and the director of the executive director of Youth Hope. And the story behind Youth Hope begins with Heidi taking a trip to the West Coast in around 2003. And she was a chaperone for a mission trip with her children. As she was on the mission trip and chaperoning, she became aware of the number of vulnerable, homeless, runaway youth that were around the cities and where she was doing the mission chaperoning. As she was walking around helping and seeing and being a part of that and observing all of these youth in need, she decided that she herself could not stand idly by when she came home and not also help out the vulnerable youth in her own very own community. So when she came back to Redlands and the community, she spent about 6 years just offering outreach to the youth on the streets of the community, taking lunches and meeting with them and speaking with them and reaching out to them to help them in any way that she could. Around 2009, she established the Youth Hope organization. And within the last 10 plus years, they have serviced over 4,000 youth. I hope that's right, Heidi. I think I got the number right. As well as providing meals, they also provide services such as education training, computer, medical, dental. They are at this point in time also beginning to provide some housing for the youth. And they moved from the streets to a permanent location on Redlands Boulevard that was donated to Youth Hope by someone in the community. Heidi has earned numerous awards and honors and recognition from the state, from the community. And by the way, mentioned to me that she didn't want to take credit for all of those awards, that it was because of teamwork from community volunteers, community members, community organizations, and that with everyone working together, they've been able to really help and have a powerful impact on the vulnerable youth in our community. I wanted to give you a few little statistics before I tell you just a little bit more about what Youth Hope has done in the last couple of years. And so far in 2020, which, oh, sorry, it's 2021, so 2020 is over. But in 2020, 1,199 boxes of groceries were donated to families in need in this last year during the pandemic. 2,452 to-go meals were passed out. And by the way, several of our AAUW members were a part of providing some of those meals throughout this past year. 7,021 meals were available and donated for on the street. In 2019, before the pandemic, 791 bus passes were given out to the youth. 39 youth earned their food handler certificates. Over 60 youth received jobs. They provided over 9,000 services to youth. And 33 youth created resumes, 53 youth graduated from high school. So there are many successes for Youth Hope. And I really would like to praise Heidi for that. One more quick thing, a little bit about Heidi. She has 4 grown adult children and 4 grandchildren and 1 on the way. So now I'm going to turn it over to Heidi, and she's going to share a little bit about her journey through Youth Hope and from the beginning to where we are now, and maybe some stories about how you've had to adapt through this pandemic. Thank you, Heidi.
Thank you, Linda. That was awesome. I appreciate it. And thank you so much for having me. And it is such a, just such a crazy time right now as we're trying to figure things out. But I thought I would start back at the beginning. I think it always is interesting, how do we get to where we're at? And people say, how can I help? And back when we were raising our kids, and this is a shame on me, but I always was afraid of people that were homeless. I always felt like they were, crazy and they would hurt you, or they're so dirty that you're going to get some disease from them. And so I always protected our kids from all of that. And as I was going through raising our kids, there were our church, First Baptist, New Kaipa, they were going on a mission trip to work with the homeless. And so I needed to go to protect our kids. And, again, shame on me. But we were up in San Francisco, and I had about 5 or 6 youth with me. And as we were going over to the Golden Gate Park, and we had backpacks with food and socks and blankets and whatnot, we just crossed over onto the Golden Gate Park up by Haight and Ashbury. And there was a young lady that was sitting on the side of the hill. And I went up to her, and her name was Winter, and just started visiting with her. Winter had no teeth, and as we're talking, she had been what you call curb stomped. And that's when somebody drags you to the curb and you slam their face into it so hard, it's to kill them. She didn't die, but she did lose all of her teeth. We were there for 5 days, and each day that we were there, she would be there, but she'd be with a different man, and she was with him for protection. The thing is, she wasn't being protected. She was being used as a sex toy, and they were beating her and abusing her. And each day she had more black and blue marks on her. And we would bring her blankets to keep her warm, and just a small conversation. That was the moment when my life changed on, how dare I just to be judging just anybody, I don't know what anybody walks through. I don't know what goes on behind closed doors. I have no clue. And Winter was the one that taught me that. When we were leaving, I gave her a big hug, and I said, Winter, you just got to get off the streets. You're going to die. And and I came back home and shared it with my husband and the kids. I've got to do something. And at that point, my first goal was to take our youth on the streets and teach them stop judging, because I was judging pretty bad. And anybody that's homeless, they got to be crazy. And the thing is, they're not. And what they're going through is so tough and so hard. And how do you survive, and what do you do? I've been blessed with a good family. I've been blessed with a great husband, and I have never had to make crazy choices, or I've never had to sleep on the streets, and I feel very, very blessed. So I started taking our youth on the streets, teaching them, listen to their stories, ask about who they are, just don't, point, because kids were real quick to point and say, oh, they stink, they've got dirty clothes on. Oh, look at, they're still wearing the same outfit. And so that was kind of the beginning of my journey, was taking our kids out on the streets, the youth on the streets, to teach them just to listen and hear the stories and get to know what's going on. Well, as I was doing that, I too was listening to the stories, and I too was learning so many things. And I needed to do more than just give out some blankets or hand out peanut butter jelly sandwiches. I needed to, start offering help. How can I help you? What can we do? And so as that journey went on, people kept saying, you need to talk to Chief Jim Behrman. And as much as I was judging homeless people, I also was judging the police department. And I did not want to talk to the chief of police, because I didn't know, she's a crazy lady, it's throw her in jail. I don't know. But I went a whole year afraid to talk to Chief Jim Behrman. By the way, he knows that, and I apologize. He's the most amazing man I have ever met, except for my husband. He, just the minute I called, they set up an appointment, and I met with him, and he just spent hours telling me what I needed to do and how to do it. And all of a sudden doors started opening, and we would meet. And again, he would say things like, you need to go survey the kids. This is a bigger problem than you have any idea. And as we were going through this, I just would take notes, and then I'd go after and do it. And as I was doing that, I know Linda shared some numbers, but in 2019, everything has changed because of COVID, and I'm sure you all know that. But 2019, in the Redmond School District, 1 out of 6 kids, K through 12, is considered homeless. 1 out of 6. That is a ton of kids that are homeless. In the United States, there's 3.5 million, and this is an ish because it's really hard to count our youth. But between the ages of 18 and 25, there's homeless youth on the streets, 3.5 million. In California, there's over 300,000. I've been told it's between 300,000 and 500,000 in California, between the ages of 12 and 24 years old. With COVID and with families struggling, it's not getting better, it's getting worse. And we are going out and reaching out and truly trying to, to make a difference and to let our kids know that we're here for them. I just met this kid yesterday. He came running up to me, and his hand is busted. And he goes, my stepdad said some things, and I just wanted to hit him. And I went outside and I hit a tree so I wouldn't hit him. And my mom kicked me out of the house. So do I know the story? I don't know what's going on yet, but it's a kid who's on the streets because mom had enough. Now, I know I've had times when I've had enough, but the thing is probably kicking him out on the streets might not be the best thing, because there are all sorts of things going on. We had a young, somebody call us up. This was before Thanksgiving, about 2 weeks before Thanksgiving. And this gal called up and said, we're at a park and there's a young man that's 14 years old and he's homeless and he needs help. And I said, okay, I'm on our way. went over there and the family stayed with him until we got there and then they left. And this young man has been homeless his whole entire life. He, last time he went to school was when he was 9 years old. His parents traffic him so they can get drugs. They sell him their own son so they can have drugs. And he had had enough at 14 years old and walked up to a complete stranger and begged for help. You know, I when I was sitting there talking to him, it just, I can't even comprehend, I can't even understand what that must be like. And, you know, as we're talking, it was so sweet. He, you know, because we were waiting for help to come, because I'm not going to put him in our car, and we needed to make sure we got him where he needed to go to be safe. But as we're chit-chatting, you know, it's like, what do you want to do? And he said, I'm going to be a famous basketball player. And I went, you know, he goes, I love playing basketball and I'm really good. And of course, as I'm going, you know, this is so cute and so sweet. I said, so when you're famous, will you save me a seat so I can come and watch your game? And he said, heck no, you're as old as dirt. You won't be alive then. And I thought, oh my goodness sakes, you know, has no problem telling me the way it is. And, but here again, a 14-year-old that ran to a complete stranger up to the car begging for help. And he goes, you know, is there any way I can get in foster home? You know, I can't do this anymore. And as we were talking, I said, you know, to be safe, where have you been sleeping? And he goes, there's this area where there's just a dirt canal. And he goes, I'll go and I'll hide there so my parents can't find me. And that way I'm safe. And I thought, you know, can you imagine nighttime and just being in this dirt canal, the only place to be safe? And most of the time when we, you know, talk about trafficking, we think of females, and which is happening all the time, but it's happening to our kids, and sometimes it's happening by their parents. Because of COVID and everything that's been going on, we did have to change up, obviously, like everybody else. And what we noticed was, as things were closing down and changing and happening, a lot of our supporters, they're also being affected. You know, our dental hygienists for a while, our hairdressers, people that were bringing us groceries or supporting us financially, they were calling us for groceries and calling us for help. And, you know, it's crazy how we think about what's going on, but what a blessing that we have such a great community that has come together to help each other. And it's okay to say, I need help. And, you know, we've been able to, she had mentioned the groceries, but it's actually a little higher than that. We, since June 16th, we have delivered most of them, not all of them. Some people have come, but because of people losing their jobs, they don't have gasoline to come. And so we've been delivering boxes, big heavy boxes, to 1,399 different families. And like I said, some have been families that used to support us. And some, you know, are youth from the past. And, you know, for me, I don't care. But what I do love in the midst of all of this, when our groceries start getting low, we just put it on Facebook or Instagram or whatever to say, we're almost out of groceries, I need help. And people are driving in and delivering us groceries so we can pass them on. And, you know, what a blessing, you know, to have a community that comes together that says, we're here. And with that, you know, Youth Hope, you know, we got our facility and we got in the building after many years, and the kids were coming, and they were coming after school, and we were tutoring and picking up bus passes, and you know, we would have a ton of kids, 80, 90 kids come rolling through, and we had to close down. So it's like, okay, now what are we going to do? You know, I can't just disappear from our kids. And so we started hitting the streets twice a day, at lunch and at dinner, and we're taking food out. And we, with that, we actually have handed out 7,659 meals out on the streets. And that's where we're meeting so many more kids and, you know, offering help. And at first, because I always get so nervous, you know, I thought, okay, these kids aren't gonna wanna talk to us because I've got my masks on, because I won't just do one, I'll do 2 or 3 because I'm very paranoid of COVID. And so I got all these masks on and they could hardly hear me. But did you know our kids need to be loved and they need to know that somebody cares about them so much. They don't care if we have a mask on. They don't care. They just need to know that somebody cares. And so as we're going out and delivering food and chit-chatting with them, we've been able to help kids that have been runaways, that are runaways. We have been able to help some kids that have been trafficked that we have met. We have put, just today, we put a 17-year-old in our boy's house because home is not an option. Mom and dad are both addicts, and he's having to pay about $1,200 a month rent just to keep a roof over his head and his parents. And he said, you know, Heidi, I want to become an engineer. I'm done with watching my parents be on drugs. I'm done doing this. I can't take care of them because they don't want help. Can you please help? And so we put him in our boys' house today. You know, as we are going out on the streets, we're finding kids that want to go to rehab. And we're still able to do that. I think the biggest struggle that we have found with COVID is education and kids doing the Zoom online and stuff. That has been super tough for the kids. And they know they need to do school, they know they've got to do it, but it's tough, and it's got to be extremely tough for the teachers because you want to reach out and they're on the other side of the screen. So it's very, very hard. With COVID, my life is an ish at Youth Hope. We say 14 to 24, you know, ish, because basically we've always said, well, as long as you're under the age of 30, we're here for you. We now have 6 and 7-year-olds that is showing up at Youth Hope. With COVID, with parents having to do something, they are dropping their kids off downtown, at the skate park, at parks, wherever, and then they come rolling back through around 6 o'clock at night when they're done working to pick up their kids. And because as we're going out, we're meeting these little kiddos. And so we tell them to come see us and we give them a pair of shoes or a whole lot of ice cream, because what I don't want to do is have these little ones running around town. So we're working with little tiny kids too, in the midst of all of this. Our goal at Youth Hope is to be able to make a difference in those kids' lives, to be able to see, to encourage, to give them hope, to help them to understand there's hope out there, there's people that care, and you can change your life. You don't have to follow your parents, you know, like the young man today. You don't have to go down that road. And we have a really cool story that I love a whole lot. Our young man, Noah, he was rolling in, oh goodness gracious, 13, 14 years old. And the first time he came in, he was very shy. And I always tell the kids, which is true, you need to eat, because we need to eat. And Noah had said, I'm not hungry. He has a really deep voice. I'm not hungry. And I said, it's not about you, it's about me. I need you to eat, otherwise I'm gonna go home, I'm gonna cry tears, and that's gonna be so sad. You need to go eat. Noah went, and I believe it was, we were serving chili dogs that night. 13 chili dogs that young man ate. After that, he went, we had peanut butter jelly sandwiches sitting there. He filled his backpack with peanut butter jelly sandwiches. This young man was literally starving. He kept coming back, and as when we were using our, working on our building every single Saturday, people would show up and help us. Noah was always the first one there. He would beat everybody there, and he was the last to leave. And he was working on our building and really making, you know, helping. But he was also coming for food. I would bring breakfast and I would bring lunch, and he would always eat the breakfast and the lunch. Never told us what was going on. Never knew. He would just be there, and he would work hard and help us. As we're going through time, you know, we're trying to get to know him and encouraging him. He's got to graduate from high school, and you know, you're such a sweet kid, Noah. We would love you in our boys' house as soon as you graduate or as soon as you turn 18. And one day he finally shared a story, and he loves his mama like nobody's business. And she, you know, she's his life, but her boyfriends that she has takes her credit cards, and he's a gambler. It's a guy in one, and he goes to Vegas and he gambles all of her money, gambles her car away, gambles everything where they don't have electricity, they don't have lights, the water's turned off. Mom works, but doesn't, because of the boyfriend taking everything. There's just nothing there. They have nothing. So there'd be times there's no food in the house, no running water, no electricity, had a roof over his head, but that was about it. And, you know, we're encouraging him, and he graduates from high school and he moves into our boys' house. And, you know, he wants to be a police officer. So we talked to the Redlands PD, and he's going to Valley College, and he's just working forward in life. He was our first youth that I hired at Youth Hope, and he would go out with us to feed the homeless and to get to know the homeless and take care, and which he totally understood, because he basically lived that life for quite a while. And one day the Redlands PD called him up and said, Noah, we would like for you to be our homeless liaison. So he said goodbye to me as an employee, and he now works for the Redlands Police Department as their homeless liaison, which is super exciting. His goal is to be a police officer. He's not quite there yet, but he just turned 21. So he's got a ways to go. And he's also now in charge of our boys' house. He oversees it. So our last RA moved out, got married, and Noah has taken over. And so now, besides him going out in Redlands and talking to the homeless and helping them, and that's all ages, he's also then in our house taking care of our boys and making sure that they're okay in our boys' house. And, you know, it's so neat to be able to see youth to be able to move forward and want to be able to move forward and to change their lives. And, you know, that's what we're about, is how can we help you? What can you do? As I told a young man that stopped by today, you know, I do this for free. I don't get paid, and I do it for free because it's my heart and my passion. And I'm willing to work as hard as those kids are willing to work. And if they need glasses, we'll make that happen. If they need the dentist, we can make that happen. If you need a job, you know, we'll help you find a job. We don't do a hand out. I believe in a hand up. And we want to be able to help the youth to be able to move forward. And I find we have this one young lady that stopped by again today. It's so cool when they stop by. And she is now a chef at a Japanese restaurant in Colton. And she was so excited that she finally got to be a chef, and she's been working towards this forever. And, you know, when I met her, she was living on the street. She was broken, and she was angry, and she was frustrated. We now have, back in the day, I talked about a young lady by the name of Friend. And Friend, the first time she came by, and I'll end with that, about her. She, her dad is homeless in Riverside, and her mom was an addict, had a house, but an addict. And at 14 years old, she's 13 turning 14, just a small, petite little girl, Friend, kids brought her to me. And I said, you know, hi, what's your name? And she kind of looked at me, and very sassy, terrible language, basically said, why? Who are you? Why should I tell you my name? And I said, don't have to tell me your name. I just need to know, what do I call you? Hey, you, or what? And that's when she said, you could call me Friend. And the night before, her mom had kicked her out of the house because mom had always sent her out to go buy drugs in Redlands near the university. And she turned around and she looked at her mom and said, I'm sick and tired of seeing you hide. I'm not buying you drugs again. And her mom said, get out. So that night, she spent the night at an elementary school, huddled against a wall. And the next day, some kids on the streets that know me found her and brought her to us. And so as we were talking, she had found a place to sleep, and we just started walking through the process. So Friend ended up at what you call couch surfing. That's when you sleep at other friends' houses, found a home with a friend and stayed there. and we got her into Orangewood High School. She graduated. She was one of their speakers that night. She went on to Crafton College. Oh, it was really important that she was part of the YMCA circus because she loved the circus so much. So the YMCA had her be part of the circus, and she did that for 2 years with the YMCA, which was incredible for her. Then she went on to Crafton. She graduated from Crafton, but while she was there, we had noticed it was super hard to get kids into, if you're homeless, into Crafton because they need your parents' information and jobs and money. And so while she was there and we had, fought to get her in, she worked with the school and the president and everybody to say, hey, we got to make changes here because you're not helping the students that are homeless like me. And so she was actually able to make changes at Crafton. She went from there, graduated from there, and she went to Berkeley. And she just graduated from Berkeley. She didn't get to walk, but because it was COVID, but she just graduated from Berkeley. She has now applied, and we're waiting to hear back to get her doctorates. And she, I don't remember, really big schools like Berkeley. And Humboldt is one that she's applied for, UCLA, I think, USC. But her goal is to move forward and she wants to help the homeless youth also. None of this would have ever happened without the help and the support of our community. Lives are being changed. She could have been that little girl and mom kicked her out, but she would have gone back and kept dealing drugs with mom. By the way, mom's died from overdosing. But what I love seeing and what I love working with our youth, they want to break the cycle. They want to change. And with a community like we have that comes together, it's happening. And I want to thank you, each and every one, because I know so many of you guys are helping, supporting Youth Hope, fixing meals and doing all sorts of wonderful things. We can't do it without you. Lives are being changed. And it's happening because of all of you. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for all that you do. And thank you for having me.
Thank you, Heidi. That was wonderful. We do have a few questions. And if you have a question for Heidi, please type it in the chat area down there and I'll relay it to Heidi. Heidi, Catherine Brown wants to know, she said, when you meet youth who are abused or neglected by their parents, do you report the circumstances to the authorities? And is that helpful? So
yes, but you have to, so kind of the way it works, when a youth under the age of 18, probably close to 99% of the time, they're not going to share that their parents are abusing them. We have to first build a relationship with our kids. They don't know who we are and they don't know what's going on. But when they do, what I have always done, and I even do this when kids are suicidal, is, you know what, we're going to do this together, kiddo. It is not right that your dad is hitting you and abusing you. That is wrong. But what I need you to do, and it takes a little bit of time, but like within an hour or so, but what I need you to do is I want you to make that phone call. Because if I can get that youth to make that phone call, they are now becoming more powerful against the abuser. They now have power and control of what's going on. And in the 11 years that Youth Help has been here, all but one has made that phone call. And the one I should just share it, okay, I'm gonna have to make this phone call because this isn't right. And they said, okay, but that's not too shabby. In 11 years, all but one youth has made that phone call. And as I watch the kids sharing, you know, we'll call and then they'll come down and they are telling their story. They're telling somebody what's going on. And now they know they're gonna get that help. But so many of our kids will not share the story, you know, through schools and stuff. They know kind of that process of what's going to happen. So, you know, we just have to kind of roll with what they say. And most of the kids just come to us and say, I need a place to live. I need a job. Can you help me with my homework? I need to get to school. It's really about when they hit the age 20 is when we start hearing what's going on. So now, like the young man that we got into our house, the authorities, the police, the authorities know the family extremely well. And so, so that has already been reported numerous times. And so, but we work with CPS, we work with the police department and counselors to make sure that our kids are being taken care of.
Okay. Eileen Sanborn says, how do you know where to find the kids and the young adults that you serve? Do they know how to find you?
So they are walking on down your front sidewalk. Our kids, they are at the mall, they are at your, they are everywhere. When you look at these numbers, 1 out of 6 children in Redland School District that's considered homeless, K through 12, all you have to do is stand outside and start counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're it. And so what we do is, I play the dumb blonde and apologize, sometimes, but I just walk up and bring food. Food is my carrot, and I start building a relationship. Hey, do you want some food? Are you hungry? I got a sandwich. I also got chocolate. You like some chocolate? You need to eat. I got some water. I know you're skateboarding and you got to be thirsty. You know what? I'm going to be back again tomorrow. Do you need anything? And so as I do that, and as I share what we're about, all of a sudden, because I'll just ramble, yeah, if you need help, if you need a place to live, if you need blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden one kid goes, my friend is really homeless. What happens if, it's probably not talking about his friend. He's probably talking about himself. But, we start down that journey and we just share, this is what we're willing to do. You know what, kiddo, I'm about you. I'm not about your parents. I am here for you. So you tell me what you're looking for, and you know what? I'll work with you. So, and when they realize we show up, when we say we're going to show up and we're going to be there, might flake, but that's okay. They might tell us a lie. I don't care. It's literally just building those relationships. So when they truly need the help, they know we're here. And sooner or later, they come knocking, or they bring a friend or a buddy or whatever. You do have to be patient because they're youth and they're kids. And they might say they're going to show up, and it turns out they're a no-show. But who knows what's going on at home? What's going on? Maybe they're looking for food or a place to sleep, or I don't know what's going on behind those closed doors. And so we're just patient, and no big deal. I'm here when you're ready, and what you got to do. And again, sometimes it's a long wait, and sometimes we never see our kids again. And sometimes this year with COVID, we've lost a lot of kids to drug overdose, to suicide. Tough year. And, so our goal is, again, how can we help and what can we do, and show that love and compassion, and let them know they have value and worth.
Okay. Eileen Sanborn wants to know, have you ever become overwhelmed with how hard things can get?
Yep. Part of the reason we're only open Monday through Thursday is because I need tidy days. And so that's my Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. And that's when I get to play with my grandbabies and my kiddos, and just a me time. But absolutely, when we lose our kids to suicide, when I lose them to overdose, when when you hear these horrible stories, absolutely, I break, I cry. Once this is because I'm a little crazy, guys, had a young man that was using drugs, and we had another young man that passed away from using drugs, and we were doing a memorial, and I didn't want this kiddo to die too. And I literally bawled in front of him and said, you gotta stop using. By the way, he doesn't use drugs anymore, so that's a good thing. He's clean. But yeah, it's tough. But that's why I also focus on all the really great things that happen, our kids that are moving forward, because we need to celebrate that and not always focus on the hard, when the kids are struggling and you see them moving forward, what a great thing to be able to celebrate. But yeah, it's hard.
All right, Chris Goodfellow asked, do you work at all with CASA, C-A-S-A,
Asa,
the youth foster kids?
I know about CASA and all, but we haven't really, because I believe, and I could be totally wrong, I believe they're more court-ordered type of thing. And so we have not. I work closer with family assistance, not family services, the family assistance. And they have housing for youth also, and then they also have housing for kids under the age of 18 for short term. So for the minors, and we will take them over there, and so that gives them a place to sleep immediately, and they're safe. And then they take the kids from there to move forward. And so that's kind of what we've been doing. But I could be wrong, and maybe I need a holler at CASA. I haven't though.
Okay, Amy Bisick wants to know, besides going out into the community, what volunteer options do you have? I've heard of meal prep on a regular schedule. How do you prefer to receive food donations? And do you have a website that lists the volunteer options?
We do have, again, with COVID, I'm always playing catch up, and we had to close down, and most of our volunteers have had to obviously stay home, stay away. But we do have a website, youthhope.org, and everything's on that. We do have a volunteer application on that if you want to volunteer. Food, we're there Monday through Thursdays, from probably the best of us going out in the parks, and there's only 3 of us there at Youth Hope. That's it, that's doing everything right now. So we're working harder than we have ever worked. And so, please be patient. I can't have our volunteers there at this point. I can't take clothing because we're considered a restaurant. There's a lot of can'ts. But the food, Monday through Thursdays, if you want to deliver non-perishable foods, you can come between 9 and 4. We have a table. If you drive in, if you're looking at the building, the table's on the left-hand side that you can leave the groceries, so you're not having to interact with people. There's a tax letter there that you can take. We ask that you fill out the other paper that says who you are, that you left food, because we also have to turn that into the government. We have to keep count of everything. There's a doorbell, you can ring it, you can call 909-793-2345. And that's also on our website. And just to say, hey, I left food out there, because we do look like we're not there, even though we are. The other side, you'll see a table on the other side that we have sitting out, and that's for the homeless too, because there's a lot that we don't know where their campsites are. They don't want us over there. They have mean dogs. So we leave food sitting out on the other side for them to come and pick up food, and they need things, they'll ring our doorbell too. So food right now is a huge non-perishables. Obviously, that's a biggie that we can use for as volunteers. I know Linda might be looking for help with meals. She does, I think, Linda, a month, the first 2 Mondays. So that would be somebody, easy to holler at. Right now, we're doing mostly just sandwiches because we're going out all the time to serve, so we're not doing hot meals. Financial support is always huge. A lot of our donors are not able to, to donate anymore at this point because of COVID and because of loss of jobs. We don't take government funding, so we do limit the amount of money that does come in. I just don't want to be in my business. So maybe that answers the questions. If not, feel free to email youthhope@youthhope.org or call us, and I can definitely go through more different things. Sue, I can't hear you.
One more question here. This comes from Catherine Gifford. Catherine wants to know, are you working with the school district to provide computer access to the homeless students?
So we work super close with the Redlands School District. They have can you hear me? I'm not moving.
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, there we go. So they have what they call the ACC Academic Case Carrier, and Peter Locke is in charge of that. And we work super, super close together. And so if I have a youth that needs extra help, they are all about working with foster and homeless youth. And so we have each other's private phone numbers even, and we'll text, you know, at the end of the day to say, hey, were you able to check with this kid? Can you help, you know, commuters, they might not have food at their house. And so Peter will literally take groceries to their house also. And so they are doing an amazing job. And, you know, I'm super blessed to be able to work with the Redlands School District. So yes, we are working really well together, tutoring, computers, everything.
Okay, we had a few other questions. However, I think you've answered most of them. They were on the Q&A section, but it looks like they've pretty well been covered by what you've already covered. So we really appreciate you coming. And this has just been so enlightening for all of us to learn what you need and what you're up to and what you do for the youth of Redlands. So we really appreciate it. A lot of people on here have said, thank you, thank you, thank you for what you do. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you for having me. And again, thank you for all of your help and support, guys. Couldn't do it without our community, and what a blessing. And if you have any questions, please look us up, give us a call, youthhope.org, and be more than happy to share whatever maybe questions weren't answered. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome to stay if you want to. We're going to have a short business session now, but you can leave if you need to do something else.
Thank
too.
you.
So,
I'll say goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, everybody. We have a short business session that we need to cover. First of all, we have a little short video that we need to show everybody. This is, I'm going to call on Diane Shimoda because Diane has provided us with this video about the adult literacy program. And so I'm going to be sharing that on the screen, but Diane, you want to introduce it for us?
I do, but first I'd like to say how much I enjoyed Heidi's presentation. And one of the things that she said that really stuck with me, because it's so true, is that it's a blessing to live in the Redlands community where people are willing to help. And we found that with the adult literacy program as well. We are blessed from the support of our tutors. So thank you to AAUW members for all of your support with literacy over the past decade. 2020 marked 10 years of the program at the Smiley Library. And I know Catherine Gifford is in attendance here. She worked with Trudy Waldron to reinstate the program 10 years ago. So thank you to them for their vision, their persistence, their knowledge, and their continuing support. So I'd like to celebrate with a video that shows the accomplishments of adult learners. They worked very hard themselves to make their accomplishments possible, and they were all supported by volunteer tutors. So we are grateful for our tutors, we're grateful for our community, and if you would like to show the video, I'd appreciate it. Thank you, Sue.
Sure. Be glad to. Here we go.